Okay, I've actually changed my plans on when I'll... Thank you for that! Oh, that's a rare encounter. Okay, then. Didn't expect to get that. As I was saying, so I've changed my mind on when I'll be going back here. Yeah, you can actually go through the counter here and go downstairs. I think I might have never even known about this, even when I first played this game. Down to the base mode, you find one super potion. Yeah, I went to get it now because it's not going to be that much more useful later on. But it's kind of a cool detail, I guess. I was originally planning on coming back here after we were able to access a certain something, but we can't get that now. In fact, he's gone, but we still can't get that item. And I'm thinking that I'll save getting those items until actually the very end of the playthrough in bonus footage, because I want to show them kind of all at once. So anyway, that won't make sense yet, but it'll make sense eventually. Now on to the main event. Speaking of main events, oh yeah, I thought they would change, because yeah, Razzle and Dazzle are back at ONBS now. So yeah, they actually do change the act that's on stage here throughout the game. Yes, it has left me speechless. In the wrong way. Yeah, everyone here is not too interested in this. That's what a max tempo set sounds like, by the way. Welcome back to Pokemon XD. Last time we encountered the return of a former Cypher admin, and we also played around a little bit with Pokespots. What I've done off-camera before going back to Pyrite Town is that I've removed all my Pokesnacks from the 3 spots, because for what's about to happen, I don't want any interruptions. Yeah, it'd be a bit of a mood clash if I kept getting spot monitor readings during this, so I'm gonna make sure that doesn't happen. Now, it seems like nothing's wrong in this town at this point, but that will change. Let's head back to ONBS. I mean, Net did say to come back immediately, so let's go ahead and do that. Surely nothing could have gone wrong. Ah, the big guy here, he's gone. That can't mean anything ominous, can it? Yeah, he got beaten up. Remember when I said he wouldn't be that effective at guarding the entrance? Yeah. And they took Meg hostage, that's not good. Shroomish is pretty distressed. This music is kind of interesting. It's very creepy sounding, but you don't get to hear it for very long because pretty much as soon as you get in here... Ceiling Peon! Yep, they're back. Cypher's attacking the news station. Kind of reminds me of the Team Rocket radio tower takeover back in Gold and Silver. So anyway, Kavana and a Barbo. That's actually pretty funny since I'm leading with Fish Slayer here. Weirdly, I've kind of missed this song, even though I heard it a lot back in the lab. So, let's see what we can do here. Probably not all that much, but we can try. Let's go and show just how pathetic that Kavana's defenses really are, but you know what, I'm going to go for Water Pulse so as to not activate Rough Skin. Because avoiding any little bit of damage is always good. Yeah! Tackle! Did that much! Tackle! It is coming off a base 130 attack stat, but still, that was Tackle. That should give you an idea of just how pathetic Kavana's defense is. Oh, I really, really can't wait until I get to replace Tackle with something, but sadly that won't be for a little while, and sadly that'll probably require a TM or a tutor move. Should probably go back to the move tutor and see if anything has changed there. Yeah, something that's kind of funny that has been pointed out. Stab Ember is the exact same power as Neutral Bite, so... that should tell you something about Flareon. No, I still love you, Levitine. Well, that was a fairly quick and efficient battle. But it helps that Kavana's defense is pathetic. No offense to Fish Slayer here. So, you were a pretty boring Cypher Peon, no Shadow Pokemon, but that's going to change pretty soon. Groan! I love when people just say random sound effects out loud. I mean, how exactly do you write out a groan anyway, though? So, let's free the people here. Because that's what a hero does. Well, we need to go upstairs. Because, well, we have one more person to save, and that's what a hero does, I guess. They seem not really that much concerned about their own safety. But anyway, there is another Cypher person in here. Hi there. You, get away from those people now. Mokor. For some reason that sounds like a weird blend of coffee or something. Anyway, Corphish and Electrike. You know, Corphish is another one of those Pokemon that I really wish was an obtainable Shadow Pokemon in either game, but it's not. Neither it or its Evolve form, which is a little weird. I know they tend to focus on Pokemon that are harder to obtain in Ruby and Sapphire, but, I mean, still, it would be kind of interesting using a Crawdaunt. Right, I think I'm going to try and double up on that Electrike, because I don't want it zapping Kavana. Because we all know what happens when Kavana takes a super effective attack. It faints painfully. Oh, hey, I'm faster than the Electrike. I don't know off the top of my head what Electrike's base speed is, but I think it is fairly fast. Efficient double targeting, which is pretty effective here since AI opponents rarely ever use Protect. If this was a multiplayer battle, then you'd have to be a lot more careful about double targeting. Because, yeah, pretty much everything in doubles has Protect. And, yes, hi there, Bubble, you are still pathetic. Yeah, Bubble is... I don't know why they felt the need to make Bubble target both opponents. I mean, if it always lowered speed, then maybe it would make sense, but... let's see. I mean, I would say that the Grimer is a bigger priority, but Grimer has a lot of special defense, so actually... I feel like Tackle and Ember... You know what? I get the feeling that it's actually been a little while since I practiced this part, but I think I did test that in practice, and I think I found that Ember and Tackle do roughly the same amount of damage to this Grimer. Even though Grimer has better special defense. Just Tackle is kind of that weak. Alright, both of them still on the Vice Grip. Vice Grip is one of those moves that, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain how I feel about it, but it's one of those moves that I feel is you just don't really see it that often, but it's kind of an interesting concept of a move, I guess. It is fairly weak, but it's like I said, you don't really see it on that many Pokemon. It's just kind of the... I don't know, I'm not really explaining this well, but it's hard to explain. It's just one of those moves that I just feel is kind of the one that's a little bit... You know, whenever you see it, it's like, oh, hey, that move. You don't see that move that often. I mean, it's not like Barrage, which is a very strange move that barely any Pokemon learn, and was, I think, still to this day, never used in the anime. Well, that was, no, I'm not gonna aim at you. That was convenient. I will give other teams a chance here, but I'm just using these two for the time being. I want to use Fish Slayer a lot because she has, like I said in the last part, I'm pretty sure, she's in the slow experience group, so it's going to take a while for her to level up. She'll need more experience than anyone else on my team. Security guard at the entrance seemed pretty pathetic if he just got beaten up by a bunch of random Cypher grunts. Oh, hey, we saved Razzle and Dazzle, too. But they're not really going to offer much of a reward. But it is kind of nice to save these people. Now, this elevator is the source of one of the most disturbing things in this game. I'm gonna... who am I going to use here? Maybe I should just use Orson. Also, at this point, I'm considering using Flaffy on my main team. But anyway, you go up this elevator... and you come out with a peon following you. Yeah, that is something that is pretty infamous regarding this game. One of the most terrifying things in both games, I'd argue. I mean, I know that he goes into kind of comic relief territory afterwards, but still, entering an elevator and then coming out with someone following you... Anyway, we've got a Kecleon and a Surskit here. I still don't get why they decide to make Surskit a rare Pokespot encounter, but I am not one to question. Well, I would say Game Freak, but it was actually not Game Freak that made this, it was Genius Sonority. I'll just go for the Kecleon because really, that Surskit is not a threat at all. Surskit, I really do feel like it's one of those Pokemon that seems like the main thing it has going for it is that it's rare. In most of the games that it appears in, it tends to be quite rare. I know that, I'm probably said this before, but in Ruby and Sapphire, I'm pretty sure it was a 1% encounter outside of swarming. I seem to remember that, I'm not sure if this is right, but in Emerald, it was rarer. Did I just double crit that Kecleon? Anyway, something tells me that Surskit was a little bit harder to find in either Ruby and Sapphire or Emerald. I feel like Emerald, maybe, it was a bit harder to find. And we have a Makuhita. No, it can't be. Really? Yep, they outright reuse a Shadow Pokemon. Thankfully, though, this is the only time they do. So yeah, this Shadow Makuhita... the only time there is a Shadow Pokemon that is exactly the same between Colosseum and XD. Now, you might find Pokemon that are different stages of a Pokemon that was in another game. So, for example, we had a Shadow Ariados in Colosseum and a Shadow Spinarak in XD. So, technically, Ariados is available in both games. That might be bad. But, Makuhita is the only one that you can outright obtain in the same stage in both games. So, yeah, you won't need to worry about any reused Pokemon after Makuhita. Still using Shadow Blitz. You'd think most Pokemon would have upgraded to Shadow Rush by now. Now, anyway, if I'm remembering right from the Colosseum bio I made, Makuhita does have a catch rate of 255, so I'm going to throw a Pokeball right now. And I'm just going to go for Bite, I guess. It's probably at no risk of knocking itself out yet, but I don't want to take my chances. And I probably don't want to paralyze it because it might have Guts. 1, 2, 3. Makuhita gets again. I already covered Makuhita back in Colosseum, so if you want more detailed info, I'd recommend you check out that bio. Here I'll just give a brief overview, and then talk about how this Makuhita is different from the one in Colosseum. Makuhita is a pure fighting type that evolves at level 26, which isn't that far off, and it has massive HP and attack on evolution, but is very slow. Something that I didn't realize back in Colosseum, all of Makuhita's stats literally double when it evolves. Both of its abilities are pretty decent. Now on to the new stuff, and the worst of it is Makuhita's XD exclusive move, Refresh Again. Not only is this not that great, but it's even worse on a Pokemon that can potentially have Guts, so you don't want to cure yourself of status. But on a more positive note, having both Brick Break and Rock Tomb on your starting moveset is pretty decent, and it saves you from having to use a TM for Rock Tomb. Also, due to starting at a lower level than the one from Colosseum, this Makuhita has access to Fake Out, which is an amazing move in dull battles, effectively shutting down one target of your choice that isn't a ghost type or doesn't have inner focus for one turn. It also has access to the TM Bulk Up, which wasn't available in Colosseum, and Bulk Up is a pretty good move on a Pokemon as tanky as Makuhita. Other than that, it's pretty much the same as it was in Colosseum. It's a decent fighting type if you don't mind the low speed, and it has amazing HP and hits very, very hard. Also, Torkin is a pretty funny name. I do like that line, though. And he's gone. Anyway, we've got another battle waiting for us right in there, so I think I might need to heal Orson a little bit. Guess I could use that super potion that I found in the Krabby Club. Well, have 4 other super potions, so maybe I'm not necessarily using that one. You! Stop! You're not hurting anyone on my watch! And, well, that line begs certain memes, but I'm not going to say them. Cyberpion Elox. Doduo and Tentacool. Now, Tentacool, I probably see this a lot, but has pretty low physical defense, so I think a return is going to hit it pretty hard. I wonder if the Soothe Bells actually have any impact on the power of return at this point. I mean, I'm almost certain that it's not full power by now. Like, it probably isn't, but, should I keep you? I'm kind of worried about you taking a hit from that Doduo, but you know what? I'm just going to go for... I'm going to go for Barn and Tentacle, just to... not used to you being faster. Actually, yeah, it was really weird that Flareon was outspeeding you earlier, because Flareon is fairly slow, and Kavana is not that slow. And there is Special Pursuit again. Very few Pokemon like that being special in this gen. And there is the worst damaging move in the game. Yeah, that was a crit. That was a crit. I'll just let that sink in. I still think that Constrict is the worst damaging move in the entire game. 10 power, and only a 10% chance of a secondary effect. It's half of, well, Bubble as of this generation. It is, if Tackle is still, I think Tackle is 35 in this gen, actually, but... in generation, well, for moves that are 40 power, it is a quarter of that, and 40 is usually considered the most basic of basics when it comes to basic starting moves. And Constrict is a quarter of that power. That should tell you something. Thankfully, not many Pokemon learn it. Kind of like what I was saying about Vice Grip earlier. Uh-oh. This might KO me, but it's still pretty hilarious. I love it when this happens, but unfortunately I'm going to need to either heal or revive Fish Slayer. Yeah, I was kind of right about Doduo possibly KOing you. I'm sorry. We must get revenge! This is completely unnecessary, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Yeah, you do that. Well, I mean, I suppose it prevents you from Thunder Wave, but I'm not really concerned about Thunder Waving you right now. I'm only concerned about revenge! I must avenge the Fish Slayer! And slay the Fish Slayer's Slayer. So I guess that makes Flaffy the Fish Slayer's Slayer. But that nickname wouldn't fit, so, I won't be able to name it that. I'm not surprised you're the fastest thing on the field right now. The single sound wave from Growl looks a bit weird coming out of 2 heads. There really should be 2 sound waves, but they probably couldn't really do that animation-wise. But yes, the Fish Slayer has been slain. And Flaffy is now over-leveled. 47 special attack. Pretty decent for this point, but just you wait until Shroomish evolves and just see what its attack stat becomes then. No, you guys don't scare me at all. Go away. Get out of here. And no real fanfare for that. But, yeah. Physical violence against actual humans. Kind of a rarity in this series. They will pay for that. Yeah, you think the secret disc that you found from a secret lab contains information they want protected at all costs. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch you out, and I'm going to have to go ahead and put Leviatine back in. Now, you really should just be heading straight to the roof, but there's a few optional things you can do in here. So, she was able to handle herself better than the guard at the entrance, and this room is unlocked now, so we can go ahead and grab this item that's been eluding us. Yeah, if there's a room that you can't get into in a building that has an item in it, wait for the building to be invaded. Yeah, that's great advice. But anyway, if we go in here, we have kind of another unnaturally creepy thing for a children's game. Yeah, let's take this guy down as quickly as possible. I think he wants a bit more than just an autograph, but let's stop him before it goes too far. Quillfish and Rhyhorn... Ah, dang it. Well, actually, I have Megatrain. Just thinking that Fish Slayer would do great here. I probably don't need to use a revive just yet, because there is a healing machine on the next floor, so I can just wait for that. Let's go for... yeah, that, and the Quillfish isn't actually weak to Megatrain because it's part poison, but let's go for a bite on the Rhyhorn. Quillfish is actually kind of dangerous. When I was doing this in practice, this Quillfish poisoned pretty much everyone on my team. It's always the thing with Poison Sting. It doesn't have that high of a chance of poisoning, but whenever the AI uses it, it pretty much poisons you every time. Oh, okay then. Your Megatrain is no longer required, Shroomish, I'm sorry. Actually, wait! No, it is, because it's going to be going into a water type. I was thinking of later generation double battle mechanics, which I really need to get out of my mind now. Yeah, Megatrain is just like... well, I do have an adamant nature, so I have lowered special attack, but even then... yeah, Megatrain only has 40 power, and it is the second best of the draining moves. And, yeah, this was a generation where Grass as a typing really wasn't that great, because... yeah, outside of Solar Beam, which you needed to set up Sunny Day to get the most out of, the best Grass move, outside of Leaf Blade, which only Sceptile learned, and even then it was only 70 power rather than 90, but yeah, the best Grass move outside of those two was Giga Drain, which only has 60 power and 5 PP, so being a Grass type was not all that great back at this point in the series. Grass definitely improved a lot in Gen 4 with the addition of Energy Ball and also making Leaf Blade a lot more widely distributed. Though, I don't know, sometimes it does annoy me a little bit when you've got a move that starts out as a signature move, and then later on it becomes just an average run-of-the-mill move that pretty much everything learns. It just takes away the, you know, special feeling that move used to have. And it makes me feel bad for the Pokemon that, like, originally had it. Like, if you look up the list of Bulbapedia's signature moves, so few of them actually stayed signature moves throughout the series. Just, it is amazing just how few of them remain signature moves. I think at this point in the series, I know that Sketch is still effectively a signature move, and I think Sketch is the only truly signature move in that it can only be used by one Pokemon, because it's impossible to copy Sketch by any other means, because that would mean that any Pokemon could be taught any move, and that would be kind of cheap. Although there's actually a Smogon metagame based around that. It's kind of an interesting concept. It's that all Pokemon are the same, except that every Pokemon learns Sketch once. So, basically, every Pokemon has access to one move slot that can be anything. I should probably heal. I'm being a little bit too... yeah, I'm being a bit too risky here. I should probably... don't poison point me, please. Please don't poison point me. That would be really bad. Of course you poison pointed me! Ugh, I shouldn't have said it. Well, it could be a moot point if this Smog targets Levatine. It did, so the poison point didn't matter. Ironically, Smog is a move that Flareon learns, like, at way too high of a level, and I really do mean way too high of a level. It's extremely, extremely high. Flareon should not be learning Smog that late. It's just such a terrible move to be learning that late in your move pool. This is really, really bad, though, because Shroomish is terrible against this coughing. But anyway, what I was saying about signature moves, so yeah, so that's Spore is one of them. So, yeah, Sketch is one of them, and Transform is, oddly enough, not one of them. Because not only does Mew learn that, but Smeagol can learn that via Sketch. It's also kind of funny, there are some moves that I look back on and didn't even know they used to be signature moves. Like, what was it? There was one move that was like that. There was one move that, like, I had no idea that it used to be a signature move. Oh, that's it! Yeah, Mark Punch. Mark Punch was, I think it was Hitmonchan's signature move back in Gen 2. But only for Gen 2. Because I didn't know that I thought that Mark Punch, like, at first I thought that it was a Gen 4 move, because Gen 4 introduced a ton of priority moves. But then I realized, oh, of course it's a Gen 3 move, because so many Pokemon in Gen 3 learn it, but I had no idea it was a Gen 2 move, but it makes sense because, that I didn't know that, because Hitmonchan was the only one that learned it. Anyway, when I was first recording this, I was thinking... When I was first practicing this, I was thinking, isn't it bad they're attacking a place that has direct newsfeed? But, yeah, the writers took care of that. They slashed all the power cables, so... yeah, they're not getting footage. So, thankfully, Anchor is okay. Yeah, they'll just need to find some new cameras. They probably have some in the storeroom. So, anyway, I have this suspicion there's going to be another ceiling peon right before... I'm going to go ahead and switch Orson in there. Right before the elevator. Either that or really early in the next floor. Nope, there was one. Yeah, I was right. And, why are so many of these lines unintentionally creepy? Anyway, Scipion Messin. There is a pun there, but I don't exactly want to say it. Oh, and of course, I lose Leviathan right before the all-bug-type trainer. Or at least the mostly bug-type trainer, because if you're who I think you are, then you have something that is definitely not bug. Yeah, 4 Pokemon, there's a pretty good chance you are who I think you are. Shroomish can't really do that much, but I want to leave Shroomish in just because I really want Shroomish to evolve soon. And that's level 23, so it's pretty close. Absorb. I mean, it's not a bad move when you first evolve into Beautifly, but at this point in the game, not really that good. Though at this point in the game in general, Beautifly is not really all that good. For now, just Stun Spore the Spinarak. I'm not too concerned about... Actually, wait a minute, I think the Spinarak has Nightshade, and 20 fixed damage is kind of a decent amount. Yep, I was right, it's got Nightshade. So, maybe you are a bigger threat than I thought you were. Yeah, 20 fixed damage. That does quite a bit at this point. I really don't know, because I'm double not very effective against both things here. And I have a minor special attack nature, and I only have 40 power on this move, so that's really not that great. When I evolve Shroomish into Breloom, I am honestly thinking of just giving up on Mega Drain, because it's really not that useful to have grass moves on Breloom in Gen 3. It's much better at using fighting moves. Its special attack is not that good, and well... yeah, there's a Dustox. Now you're trying to be a Team Galactic member. What I was saying was that, yeah, Giga Drain's City Power is just not worth using with that low of a special attack stat. I mean, if you had a higher power move, then maybe it would still work. Did you just use Constrict, really? 2 things with Constrict in this one area. Well, there's the one good thing about Constrict kicking in there. And currently, Shroomish has absolutely nothing to do, so I'm just gonna go ahead and heal. I hate the way the cursor works on the menu. It's just very, very annoying, the way that it does that. Because it defaults to, I'm actually not sure, like, it defaults to, I think, the last position where the cursor was, but I'm used to it defaulting to the first Pokemon on your list. But anyway, yes, you are who I think you are. Vulpix. That's definitely not a bug type, and it's a shadow Pokemon. Much to the rejoicing of a lot of people, I think Vulpix is pretty popular. Confusion. That is actually better than Absorb, but thankfully I'm not weak to that yet, because Shroomish is not grass poison. For some reason I keep thinking it is, but it isn't. Let's Stun Spore you, and let's, this time I'm going to get it right, and actually use my Super Potion properly. So it's still defaulting to Awesome, and Shadow Hold's not really going to do much. The good thing about this Vulpix being Shadow is I don't need to worry about it using fire moves on my Shroomish, especially since it, that's fine. If it had all of the move that it has, There's one move in particular that I really wouldn't want it to be using on this Shroomish, but thankfully it doesn't, because it is a Shadow Pokemon, so haha. Oh, Shadow Wave is going to hit kind of hard from Vulpix, because it is special, at least I'm pretty sure that it's special. That didn't do all that much, though. Okay, 2-hit KOing you. Please don't miss. Thank you! Good. Okay, so now I've got this Vulpix paralyzed. I will say Vulpix doesn't look that good in this game. Most of the 3D models that are from Gen 1 are, of course, imported straight from Stadium, and thus they're based on N64 models, so they don't really look all that good. But at least Vulpix looks better than some Gen 1 Pokemon do in this game. But yeah, Vulpix was obtainable in Ruby and Sapphire, I think, so kind of weird that it is here, but then again, in Fire Red and Leaf Green, Vulpix is a Leaf Green exclusive, so headbutt. You know what's weird? I actually think this is going to be more useful than Mega Drain. For now. I would get rid of Refresh, but I like having the XD exclusive move there as sort of a trophy. But I might have to get rid of that later. I mean, Refresh is still not a very good move. But, you know, like, it's a move that you can never get back. It feels bad deleting it. And Orson levels up to level 22. Still a little while off evolving, though. That won't be until level 30. But Teddiursa still has a base 80 attack stat, which is pretty decent for an unevolved Pokemon. Okay, good. Paralyzed. Let's... Do I keep going for False Swipe here? Let's just go for a little bit more weakening. Just because I don't want to waste Pokeballs, so let's just go for Metal Claw here. That did a lot for a not very effective move, but then again, Vulpix is kind of frail. I may not want to hit you again with Metal Claw, though, just in case I get a crit. The False Swipe is incredibly helpful, as you can probably tell, for weakening Shadow Pokemon, because you never need to worry about KOing them, even if you do get a random critical. Actually, no, wait, no, I'm not going to use Shroomish's turn for that. I'm going to use False Swipe on your turn. I'm going to use your turn to throw a Pokeball. So, let's go for a Vulpix. One, two, three. Vulpix gets. Now, here's something more interesting. Vulpix. Vulpix is a fire type that, much like every fire type we've had access to apart from Numel now I think about it, has access to the Flash Fire ability, though in this case it's its only ability. You need a Firestone to evolve it, and there are two ways you can go about this. The first way is to choose the Firestone back at Gate and Port, but don't use it on your EV. This will leave you stuck with an EV for a while, but evolving to Ninetales right now has its advantages. The second method is to wait for the next Firestone we naturally find during the story. Without spoiling anything, this isn't that close, but it's not that far off either. We'll be going through one more major arc after the ONBS takeover arc, and it's in the arc after that you obtain the Firestone. However, evolving late might not be a bad thing, seeing as, being a stone evolution, when it does evolve, it won't learn any more level up moves. Upon evolution into Ninetales, it's an interesting Pokemon, being very fast and having high special defense, but having only average-ish special attack, and average stats elsewhere too. Ninetales doesn't hit all that hard, it's more of a defensive and support Pokemon than a sweeper. But this Vulpix's starting moves do go some way to making up for that. Shadow Wave is decent until Purification, but Vulpix is really a Pokemon that you want to purify as fast as possible. Ember and Dig are not that great, but upon Purification, Shadow Wave turns into Heat Wave. This is a Fire-type move that's slightly stronger than Flamethrower, with a bit less accuracy, but it hits both targets in a double battle. And spread fire damage is quite rare in Generation 3. This move alone goes a big way to making up for Ninetales' mediocre attack power, and is pretty much the biggest draw of this Vulpix. As its XD exclusive move, you have Charm, not the best, but not the worst either. Level up moves are kinda strange. Vulpix mainly learns debilitating moves. Will-O-Wisp you'll need to use the move relearner to get, but I would highly recommend that, seeing as, due to Will-O-Wisp not being a TM until Gen 4, Vulpix is one of the few fire types that learns it here. You get Confuse Ray at level 21, Imprison at level 22 can be interesting if you know the moves that certain bosses use. You can load up this Vulpix with a few of them, and prevent the opponent from using those moves. It's very situational, but it can help if used right. You also get Flamethrower surprisingly early at only level 29. I really wish Flareon learned it that quickly. Normally this is great, but this Vulpix already starts with Heat Wave, so it's not really that useful, and very soon we'll have access to the TM for Fire Blast. You also get Safeguard level 33 for a bit of team support, and that's really as far as I'd go with Vulpix in terms of moves. For TMs, it's really just the standard fire type stuff. Sunny Day, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Overheat, not really that much unique. Overall, this Vulpix starting with Heat Wave goes a big way to making up for its normally mediocre special attack stats, making it a decent fire type option if you didn't use Houndour earlier. And with that, we have defeated yet another Cypher Peon. And yeah, I'm not going to say anything about your defeat quote. So, okay. I only put Seedot in the Purified Chamber at the start of this part, so that didn't take too long. Well, actually, as of recording, it took about 27 minutes, but for a single Shadow Pokemon, yeah. Anyway, we can now finally get in here and grab a Revive, which I won't need to be using just yet. I am going to battle you, but I want to use the Healing Machine first. Thank you, Healing Machine. Yeah, you'd think they put a Ceiling Peon guarding this, but they don't. They just let you waltz in and use this. So now, actually, Fish Slayer needs experience more. I will say, you probably want to be as high level as possible before the end of this place, because there's a pretty tough fight coming up. But anyway, how dare you bully a child? We will destroy you. Dilly? Well, I guess I will say it this time. Dilly-dally, shilly-shally, I guess. I still wish it's... Yeah, this is gonna sound like a weird tangent, but I am annoyed that when Cloud got into Smash Brothers, he was Japanese voice only, because I was really hoping that he'd be voiced and one of his taunts would be dilly-dally, shilly-shally. Or at least, something like, this guy, or like, you guy are sick, or something like that, because, I mean, characters do reference memes from their home games and taunts all the time, and that would be pretty funny if Cloud did that. But anyway, still actually haven't downloaded Cloud, even though I probably want to. Although it does annoy me that people basically say that he is a better version of Ike, which annoys me because Ike is my main in that game. Well, one of my mains. For those wondering, I main... Yeah, Robin, Shulk, Ike, Lucina, I guess. Sort of. Yes, I know she's inferior to Marth, but I don't really care. I main characters that, because I like the character, not based on how good they are in terms of... I probably should switch Fish Slayer out. I mean, there is a healing machine right there, but still. I risk staticking myself by doing that, though, but I'm gonna go ahead and switch out here. I also kinda main Greninja. I use Greninja a little bit, but, yeah. I used to main Sonic and Brawl and Lucario, but I don't, for some reason, I'm not as good with Lucario in Smash 4 as I was back in... and I think Sonic was actually my best character back in Brawl, but I still use him a little bit, but... Anyway, like, I'm not really, like, a serious Smash player at all or anything like that, but I still have some characters that I like using more than others. And I made the right call in switching out. Unless you're an idiot and targeted Shroomish. You're an idiot and targeted Shroomish! Wow. I can't believe you would do that. And sadly, Refresh is useless here, unless I somehow had Sleep Talk and could... yeah, that'd be kind of funny, getting Sleep Talk to use Refresh while you're asleep, but that is a pretty big waste of Sleep Talk. Okay, you still have 4 Pokemon, I should probably just get on with this. Let's just burn the sheep. As strange as that sounds. I thought it wouldn't KO, but I didn't think it would leave it that close. Please burn. No. I forgot the Goblin got Yawn at this point. Yawn is very annoying. It is kind of an effective move for catching, though, because if I'm remembering right, Yawn is... Maybe it's not in this generation, though, but I know that in at least one generation, Yawn is, like, actual... I think they changed that in Gen 4. I think it was in Gen 4 that Yawn became, like, from 100% accuracy to dash accuracy, as in it always hits, no matter what, like, accuracy or evasion modifiers are in play. But anyway, Sheep down. What have you got next? Oh, that's barely any experience. It's kind of the love disc. Well, that's not much. But yeah, one kind of annoying thing about these games is that everything being dull battles, your experience is already split in half by default. I should have switched out. Yeah. It's already split in half by default, so you get even less if you switch out to more Pokemon. And for that reason, I'm going to bring Fish Slayer back in. Because now the experience is back down to being halved. And you're asleep because of... Excuse me for a second, I just realized that I'm an idiot and should have used the call command. It just hit me. So I'm gonna do that now. There we go, that's call curing sleep. I talked on earlier about how awakenings are useless in this game because of the call command, and then I forget about it. Anyway, let's take you down. Not quite yet, but I don't think you're that much of a threat to us at the moment. Okay, good, you didn't use Yawn again, because that would have continued the cycle of annoyance. Flareon does have fairly decent special defense, so... And I got poisoned again, on the one who doesn't have Refresh, of course. I'm curious to see how much Ember does to Love Disc, but I'm going to just use Bite. Rub it in, why don't you? I'm statusing you all the time, but you can't status me. There's actually been quite a few safeguards used in this area too. Yeah, safeguard... Actually, I just realized, like, I was thinking, like, why don't people use safeguard that much in competitive doubles, and then I just realized, well, now safeguard isn't that useful because fairy terrain is essentially the same thing, isn't it? But it does other things too. Blossom, that's a strangely high-stage Pokemon to be encountering this early in the game. In fact, I think Fish Slayer needs to run away again now. Let's go for Orson. Yeah, I'm keeping Voltorb with my party just because I want... kind of dragging out this battle by healing this much, but I'm gonna want to do this. But yeah, just to purify Voltorb a little bit more. Just to keep the heart gauge going while I'm walking around. Because I only at the moment have 2 sets on the Purify Chamber. I could split up all of the wild Pokemon that I caught and have like 1 per set, but that'd purify a lot more slowly. And I focused on putting Seedot in the Purify Chamber because that'll give me a Grass type, so that'll give me more things to hit for super effective in the chains. Speaking of which, I didn't get to mention this before because I actually didn't realize this until someone pointed it out to me in the comments, but I was wondering how normal types were handled in the Purify Chamber because they're not super effective against everything, so you'd think they'd be useless there, but apparently, for the purposes of the Purify Chamber, normal is considered super effective against itself. So, that is interesting. That's something to bear in mind. If you have a lot of normal types, you could actually make a full set of 4 and you'd have a max tempo. Yeah, that is why I wanted to get Fish Slayer out of there. Even though Absorb is pathetically weak, Blossom has a pretty decent special attack stat, if I'm remembering right. And, of course, you know how weak Kavana's defenses are by now, so obviously that would be a bad thing. But yeah, a Blossom this early is pretty impressive as far as these trainers go. And I also didn't get any action there. Blossom also looks really tiny in this game. Unfortunately, Shroomish fainted, so he doesn't get the experience. Well, to be honest, thanks to me playing kind of badly in that fight, their battle plan actually seemed kind of good. Yeah, I'm glad we saved them before anything really bad happened. Anyway, back to healing. Because I will want to heal now, because there is another fight right before those stairs. And that fight might have something for us, hint hint.